You feel like you're lazy, it's because you have Dave Ramsey telling you to save your money and don't use debt. You got me saying, oh, don't load up on that debt, dog. You need to get a bunch of debt. And you got Tony Robbins over there telling you it's all about your emotional state. Pump it out. And you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do. And then you got Gary Vaynerchuk saying money doesn't matter. And you're like, shit, do I listen to Dave? Do I listen to Grant? Do I listen to Gary? And at that moment, even if you got to figure out which strategy, you're immobilized. And at that moment, you will look lazy to yourself and others. So what I do is I pick one guy and I go with him. Like, I don't even care if it's the right guy. Because I can make the wrong information. If I'm stable about the wrong information, I can make that work.
What would I do if I was down to my last $1,000? This is what I would do. First, I would set a target. Okay, how do I make this 10 times that money? How do I go from 1,000 to 10,000? I wouldn't look at this 1,000 because I want to grow the 1,000. I'm not going to try to save it. I'm not going to try to keep it. I'm going to try to use it to figure out how to 10x it. So the first thing to do is to set a target. Second thing is to find out who can assist me in the target. It's not what I need to do, not where I need to go, not how I need to do it, what services or what other people want. What is the target? Number one. Number two, who can help me accomplish the target? 3, how do I make contact with that who to get them to trade $1,000 for $10,000, at which point I'll figure out what I need to do. They'll tell me exactly what it is. But if I'm spending time with somebody that don't have 10,000, guess what? 1,000 will become 800, will become 600, will become 400, will become 300, will become 0. Because you tried to save the money rather than invest the money to 10x the money.
I remember getting out of college with an accounting degree and could not balance a checkbook, didn't know the difference between an asset and a liability, didn't know how to run a profit and loss statement. And if you'd asked me what was more important, the most important part of a profit and loss statement, I wouldn't have known what to tell you. I knew nothing. But I did know one thing. I wanted to learn about money. And because I was so scared about money because of the way I was brought up, the mentality around my house was because we didn't know how to get new money, we had to save the money that we had. Save for a rainy day, you know, a penny saved is a penny earned, and money doesn't grow on trees, but I didn't know where it grew. I didn't know how it was manufactured, how it was created, how can I get some, why would I save it, how do I earn it, how long does it take to multiply it? I knew nothing about money.
So very simply, my rich dad said, assets put money in your pocket. So this is the cash flow pattern of an asset. It goes from the asset, it could be a house I rent out. So assets put money in your pocket whether you work or not. Assets what? Put money in your pocket whether you work or not. One more time. Assets what? Put money in your pocket whether you work or not. I asked somebody, I was in Singapore, and I said, can you name an asset you have? A little Chinese woman raised her hand. She says, oh, yes. My husband. So my goal is to never need a paycheck again from anybody. Even the government. I don't want any Medicare, Social Security, or whatever. So you got to get the military pilot pension. I said, you do, but I'm not going to. And just because of this here, that was the difference. Key is hard assets. I don't own oil stocks. I own oil wells. There's a very big difference. So every time that thing goes up and down like this and pumps out a gallon of a barrel of oil, I get paid. But other people, I got Exxon stock, I got Chevron stock. And the problem with that was interest rates go up, the stock market's going to come down. When the stock market comes down, gold, silver comes with it, everything comes with it. Those with hard assets like cash flowing real estate and oil and stuff like that, money just keeps coming in. To me, that made sense. So that was my rich dad side. And my poor dad side was you should get a job, buy a house because it's an asset, get your PhD and put your money in the stock market. I just don't do that because my rich dad taught me differently.
I only use debt to buy assets. A lot of people use debt to buy liabilities. So I drive a Ferrari. Guess what? It's paid off 100% because it's a liability. I drive a Rolls Royce. It's paid off 100% because it's a liability. Now, so I use debt as money and I don't save cash because in 1971, the dollar became debt. Tricky Dick Nixon took us off the gold standard. So at that point, I save gold. So all the money I make, if I buy something with debt, so that's I'm $1.2 billion in debt, because if I go bust, the bank goes bust. not my problem. You know what I mean? And all the cash I make is I convert to silver and gold. And pretty soon it got to be a big problem, which is why I own Bitcoin also, because I just don't trust the frickin' dollar.
Losers. Why would you save money when the government's dropping interest rates and printing trillions of dollars?
It doesn't make any sense when you're getting paid 1% in the bank, but you're losing to inflation. The math does not make sense. It doesn't work. But for some reason, people are choosing not to pay attention to those kinds of things.
Because they're losers. Because they listen to stupid people like my poor dad. You know what I mean? People who have no idea on money. When I said savers are losers 25 years ago, I got attacked. I said, your house is not an asset. I got attacked. And I said, the rich don't work for money. Then every communist said, all you guys don't think about is money. Well, Kenny and I don't use money. We use debt, right? You know, the reason savers are losers is because debt is a better way.
The reason I love Dave Ramsey, I actually did Dave Ramsey before. The reason I love it is because the money habits. The money habits is what's the most important thing in my opinion. It's not that, pay off debt and, eat noodles every night. That's the bad thing. It's just, it gets you in a habit of paying off debt, saving money. Once you learn and actually grasp that concept, now let's talk about investing. But I'm not big on people going into debt to buy nothing, bro. Real estate, yeah, but knowing how to exit that, how to get out of that debt as soon as possible is where I'm at now. I ain't messing with the debt, bro. But don't get me wrong, because I gotta be honest about this. There was times I went into debt when I didn't have it, and it did change my life though. So, but that depends on what kind of person you are. So that's where you come in.
I take issue with that. I ain't gonna lie. You know why? Because I listened to Dave Ramsey when I first got out of nursing school. I started travel nursing. I was a hardcore Dave Ramsey dude. And I saved.
Make you rich?
No, it didn't. But it put me in position to start getting rich. You know what I mean? Because what it did was that discipline of saving my income. I was living on like 30% of my income. I was saving like 70%.
Yeah.
And I saved well into the six figures with a nursing job. So for me, I feel like that gave me the startup capital to start investing in my business. So I use Dave Ramsey's principles as my investment vehicle for my businesses.
Then you ditched that philosophy and went.
And then I ditched it, and then I went to more
more
Kiyosaki. That's a fact. Because the speed limit, you know what I mean? Dave Ramsey's method is extremely slow. You're talking about like turtle
He
speed.
says it on his show, and it's about finance, right? When he's telling people how to get out of debt, he does what's called a debt snowball, which is basically you take your smallest debt, pay minimums on everything else, and you pay as much on that debt as possible, right? And so many people come out and go, that's stupid. You're not doing math. You pay the one with the highest interest rate. And his response is always, well, if we're doing math, we wouldn't be in debt in the first place, would we? Because this is a behavioral issue.
Example,
right? What he noticed was, well, if we get somebody to pay the smallest debt off, get that paid off as quickly as possible, you get like a quick win.
Momentum.
And then you take all that money you were paying for that one, and now you focus on the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. Because it's a behavior thing. Like, if it was just about simple math, he's right. You wouldn't be in that position. And the same thing when it comes to nutrition. If it was just about, like, hey, just eat less calories and move more, well, it can't possibly be that simple. The equation, the inputs are pretty simple, but that doesn't mean what it takes to get there isn't complicated behavior change.
Sure. You have to know what to do, but then you have to do it.
They came out with new data that shows that the average car payment in America today, according to the National Auto Dealers Association, is $499. That's dangerously close to $500. You take $500 a month and invest it from age 30 to age 70 in a decent growth stock mutual fund, you'll have $5.6 million. That's what a car payment costs you. So who'd you make rich? General Motors, Ford, Lexus, I don't know, Toyota. Who was it? You made somebody rich. It wasn't you.
It says the foolish man devours all he has. So live on less than you make. You need to be on a plan, written budget, a detailed written budget. My friend Zig Ziglar used to say, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. And so Jesus said, don't build a tower without first counting the costs. So have a budget. So again, scriptural. Get out of debt. We know Dave Ramsey's going to say that. The rich rules over the poor and the borrower slave to the lender. Your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. And so like when you got rid of all that debt and had kept your lifestyle down, you were able to pour back into the business. And organically grow a fabulous business. I mean, you've become an industry. And part of that was fueled by the fact that you didn't have this debt hanging over your head. And then, of course, save money. In the house of the wise or stores of choice food and oil. We save money in business for retained earnings, but at home we call that an emergency fund, and we invest for changing our family tree with the power of compound interest and all that. And then, of course, number 5 is
Do
generosity.
these 5 things. You will win with money 100% of the time. Number 1, you need to have a written plan, a budget. No one accidentally wins. Second thing is you got to get out of debt. Your most powerful wealth-building tool is your income. And when you spend your whole freaking life giving your money to banks who fill up the skyline and have furniture nicer than yours, that makes you stupid. Number 3, live on less than you make. You need to decide that my life is not good enough the way it is, and so I am going to control the controllables. I am going to change some things. And then you're going to save some money. You know how rich people get rich? They save money. And if you'll get out of debt and you'll invest and you live on less than you make and you have a plan, then you can do the last one. It's the most fun you'll ever have with money. You can be outrageously generous.
You want to eat an elephant, you do it a bite at a time. So if you want to get control of your money, you do it a step at a time. Baby steps. Baby step 1 is you save $1,000 quickly. A little starter emergency fund. Once you've done that, and some of you just have that money, you just name it that just now. You already did baby step 1. You just reset that money in your mind over to the side. That's baby step 1. Baby step 2 is you pay off all of your debt except your home using the debt snowball. The debt snowball is where you list your debts, smallest to largest, pay minimum payments on everything but the little one. You attack the little one with a vengeance. You're not going on vacation. You're in debt. You're broke. You're not going out to eat. You're in debt. You're broke. You work all the time. You're in debt. You're broke. There's a great place to go when you're broke, to work. And by the way, the rule is you don't work with a financial advisor that doesn't have the heart of a teacher. If they have the heart of a salesman, they're slimy, run. If you feel like you need to have a shower after you met with them, run. And the other rule is don't put money in anything you don't understand.
The Ramsey guy says you should only buy a house with 20% down. But you always said I can get up to 4 units with 3.5% down.
So the reason why he says that is because he wants you to avoid what they call PMI, or private mortgage insurance. And it might be smart for some people, but let's look at the numbers. See, if you bought a home for $450,000 and you put 5% down, assuming that you had good credit, you would only be paying about $170 a month in mortgage insurance. So if you did that for 3 years, it would be a total of $6,120. But let's say that you say, well, instead of buying the house right now at $450,000, I'm gonna wait so I can save some money. Well, if it takes you 3 years to save 20% down, assuming that you're really good at saving money, by the time you've saved that money, the price of the house might be $500,000. So in order to save about $6,000, it would actually cost you $50,000.
I know you say to put 20% down on a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, but in the market I'm in, it feels unattainable. At one point, we hit our savings goal, but by the time we saved up enough, the home prices had jumped way up. We're debt-free and we've been renting for a few years, and it just feels like we'll never be able to buy our first home.
Such a myth, because like this guy said, the minute you saved up 20%, the prices of real estate will have increased. It's kind of like chasing a moving train.
We're trying to run the baby steps, but don't see the light at the end of the tunnel right now. Is it okay to put less down in order to get into a house faster, or should we wait for house prices to come?
100%. Get into the house, less down. It takes the average American 6.5 years to save up 20%. Do you know how much home prices would have appreciated in 6.5 years? I love Dave Ramsey. Maybe.
We don't say you have to put 20% down, especially on your first home. We say it's ideal to put 20% down because you avoid PMI, private mortgage insurance, which is extra money you pay to protect the lender, not you.
All right, so I am so sick and tired of people saying you have to save a 20% down to avoid PMI. PMI can be as inexpensive as $65 a month. It really depends on your FICO score, how much money you're borrowing, but they make it seem like it's $500 a month that you're trying to avoid. It's not that bad of a deal. Somebody as conservative as Dave Ramsey is saying home prices are increasing.
So yes, I would buy, but don't buy more than a fourth of your income on a 15-year fix, regardless of what you put down.
All right, so I don't agree with the 15-year fix. I'm a big believer in the 30-year fixed rate product. I think
I've been better days.
Uh-oh, what's going on?
I hate to use this term, but I'm drowning. I've been reading your books and your program for the last couple months, you know, what I could get at the library and watching your videos online. But everything's kind of come to a head, and I'm not sure what to do. I'm considering bankruptcy at this point. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to go back to school. I just honestly don't know what to do right now.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Mm-hmm. And how much do you make a year?
At best, I make around $19,000.
Mm-hmm. What do you do?
Right now I'm a substitute teacher.
Okay. So you have a teaching certificate?
No, I owe a debt that's actually preventing me from getting a certificate. So
I don't understand.
I owe a college. In order to do the teaching program in Texas, you have to have all your transcripts. But because I owe a school, they won't release it.
Oh.
And they won't let me go with the transcripts I have.
I got you. And how much do you owe them?
I owe them around $1,300.
$1,300.
Yes.
Okay. How quickly would you land a job were you to get your transcript, do you think?
Pretty quickly. I've been subbing. I know this is going to sound so silly, but I've been subbing for about 4 years. The thing is, the money's not constant. I'm not working during the summers. I don't work during major holidays. So.
Do you live on your own?
Yes.
Man, you're barely making it, aren't you, kiddo?
I'm barely making it. I owe so much student loan debt.
How much other student loan debt do you have? Not counting this $1,300.
$62,000.
Yeah, that's overwhelming. Making 19. And what other kind of debt have you got?
I have consumer debt. I've taken out. I know some stupid decisions. I've taken out payday loans. I have a car note that got repossessed last year. They want $12,000 on it. And I have a new car loan because I couldn't pay cash, so I'm paying that too.
How much do you owe on that car?
$5,000.
How much is your payment?
It's $200 a month.
Okay. All right. Well, let's walk through this for a second, okay? If you were to file bankruptcy, a Chapter 7 bankruptcy is the type of bankruptcy that cleans off all your debts, okay? Student loan debt is not bankruptable. So a bankruptcy would not clean off the $62,000. It might clean off the $1,300 one. I don't know. That sounds like that's a private debt, and that one might be cleaned. It would clean off your old repossession. It would clean off the payday loans. It would not clean up the $5,000 debt on the car unless you turn the car in. You don't get to get rid of the debt and keep the car. You follow me?
Yes, sir.
So you either keep the debt and keep the car, or you turn the car in and can get rid of that debt. Okay?
Okay.
If you want my opinion, I don't think you have a debt problem as much as you have a huge income problem.
I definitely agree with that.
If we could increase your income $10,000, $15,000 a year, you still wouldn't be making a ton of money, but it would change your life right now. $1,300 changes your income because you get the transcripts back. $5,000 gets rid of the car debt. How much is on these stupid payday loans?
Well, I only took out $800, but as you know, the interest rate.
Yeah, how much do you owe on the stupid payday loans?
$1,700 now.
Okay, so let's do this math. $8,000, $1,700 there, $1,300 at the college, $5,000 on your car changes your whole life.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
$8,000. Then you've got a student loan that you're going to have to work your way through, but you got to work your way through that anyway. You're not getting away from that one. And you've got an old repo of $12,000 that you probably could settle for a couple grand. So 10 grand cleans up your entire life and makes it awesome, not counting the fact you got to fight through $62,000 worth of student loans. So, that tells me that you really don't have a bankruptcy problem. You've really got a debt problem. You got an income problem. So,
all right.
How much is your rent?
About $600.
Okay. So here's what I want you to. Have you ever waited tables or delivered pizzas?
A couple of years ago, I was a waitress when I was a teen.
What I would tell you to do, if I woke up in your shoes knowing what I know, and see, I don't have all the emotions of being overwhelmed and scared. I'm just looking at the math. So I've got an advantage right now, okay? You've got the emotions of being overwhelmed and scared. I'm just looking at the math. And that gives me an advantage. I'm outside the forest, so I can see all the trees. You following me?
Yes, sir.
So I get that you're overwhelmed and scared, but I can tell you how to fix it. I mean, if I were you, I'd start working about 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week. I'd be delivering pizzas and waiting tables and whatever else you can come up with to make money. Tutoring, I'd be tutoring my little butt off. And a lady was on here last hour making $30 an hour in Charlotte tutoring as a teacher.
And that's how she got out of debt. $30 an hour would change your life, you know? Pick up 3 or 4 kids, pick up 3 or 4 places you can wait tables, and pick up odd jobs doing whatever. I don't know what you can do that's legal and moral, but I want you to go make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month.
Yes, sir.
You need to work your butt off, your fingers to the bone, and go make you $10,000 in the next 4 months. Christmas, I want you debt-free except the student loans and the car repo. You get your transcripts back. You get the payday lenders out of your life. Don't you ever go in one of those places again. They're killing you. And get your car paid off, and then you're going to have a life. You feel it?
Okay.
You can do this. I'll walk with you. You call me back while you're working on it, and you and I will do this together. Ben is with us in St. Louis. Ben, what's your net worth?
Hi, Dave. Net worth is $1.7 million.
Cool. Break that down for me by category, please.
$620,000 in a 401k, $450,000 in Roth IRAs, $230,000 in taxable account, $50,000 in a 529, and the balance is our home, which I'm happy to say is debt free.
All right. And what's it worth?
About $350.
$350. Good. Very good. Very cool. How much of this did you inherit?
0.
And how old are you?
I'm 39. My wife's 36.
Wow, you did it quick, too. Yeah. So your lowest year of household income and your best year of household income?
So lowest was about $50,000 when we first got married. Last year was our best, $185,000.
Cool. Cool. What do y'all do for a living?
I'm a supply chain manager, and she's a teacher.
All right. Very good.
And did you all ever work with an investment professional?
Yes, we self-manage, but we do have a professional assigned that helps coach us.
Gotcha. And do both of you have your degrees?
We do. I have an engineering degree, and she has an education degree.
Gotcha. And do you remember the GPAs?
Yeah, she beat me. I had a 3.1. My wife had a 3.5.
All right. And do you all do any giving as a family?
Yeah, we do. We support local causes in our community. We give regularly to our church, and I like to also give time. I was on the Habitat for Humanity board, where I'm at.
Very cool.
That is fantastic. Now, you guys have done this early, 39 and 36, but I want you to tell me, Ben, what's one of the financial mistakes you made along this journey?
You know, I think early on, I was a little too conservative. I was going with some bonds, and if I had to do over again, I would have gone right to stocks from the beginning. That proved to be very useful later on when I figured that out.
Okay.
And, probably going with the Roth options, too. I was a little slow to take advantage of some of the Roth 401k options that came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the younger generation, that's absolute. Go after that.
Very cool.
Very good.
What advice do you have to a 25-year-old listening to us?
I'd say probably 3 things. Make decisions that keep you out of debt. We went to school that we could afford. It was a state school, but it didn't affect us long term. Prioritize your savings over consumption. Let everybody else buy all the stuff, not you. And then, take advantage, like I said, of the Roth accounts and stick with the stocks.
Very cool. Excellent job, man. 39 years old. Ding, ding. Well done.
I'm telling you.
Way to go, hero.